Hey guys, it's Maddie or Books with Maddie. Today I am showing you all the books that I read in May. It is my May wrap-up. I believe I read 8 books this month, which is pretty good because I did not think I was going to be able to read this many books because school and finals was all happening in May. So I'm also going to be showing you the books that I finished in May. So I didn't necessarily read them entirely in May. So I'm just going to get right into it. The first one that I finished in May was The Meursault Investigation by Kamal Daoud, and this is a kind of reactionary novel to The Stranger by Albert Camus. This novel follows the story of the Arab in The Stranger, but through the narrative of his brother, so of the Arab's brother. Does that make sense? I don't know. I gave this book like 2 stars. Yeah, I gave this book 2 stars. I didn't really enjoy it. I thought it was weird. I was super into the idea of it. I hated Stranger, but I was really excited for this because it seemed like something that could kind of redeem what was left out in The Stranger, and it didn't at all do what I expected it to do. The writing is very poetic and really cool, but it just didn't hit right with me, and so I ended up giving it 2 stars. The next book was also for school. It was White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I really enjoyed this. It was like really difficult to read to get through for school because I was reading like 75 to 100 pages a day of this, which was just like a lot on top of like other schoolwork. So I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I would had I read it like in a like over a longer period of time when I was able to just like concentrate on this. So I ended up only giving it 3 stars, but I think like thinking back on it, I'd probably give it 4 just because I really enjoyed how the story spanned over multiple generations. I should probably explain what the story is about. So basically, I'm bad at synopsis. There's no synopsis here. Great. Lovely. Okay. So, there's no synopsis. Basically, it follows the story of like almost 3 generations of people of different races, different cultures, different backgrounds as they try to survive in London in the it spans from like throughout the 1900s. It spans from like 1907 to 1999, 1857. I don't know. There's lots of years that is in here. It's like a very long period of time it spans over. So it follows parents and children and friendship, and it's funny at some points, it's heartbreaking at some points. I think it's like a really like educational, eye-opening novel, and I would probably give it 4 stars if I were to rethink it. So the next book, I actually listened to it as an audiobook, and this is the first book that I've ever just listened to as an audiobook and not like followed along because I'm really bad at just like listening and like not thinking about other things at the same time. It was Distance Between Us by Casey West. This is like my first Casey West novel ever. I don't usually dip into YA contemporary romance just because that isn't my cup of tea, but it was like enjoyable. Like it wasn't terrible. I don't know. I just think the genre isn't really for me, especially like in this format. Like I just didn't like, I don't know. I think I gave it 2 stars. The reason that I listened to it was because it was like exam week and I was really stressed, and I was like, I just need something that I can just like, that will just be like super relaxing and super, this like crease in the middle of my sweater is really bothering me. I just want it to not be there. I'm trying to like do the opposite direction, but it's still there. Why is it doing that? That's super annoying. It's just gonna be there and we're gonna deal with it. Oh my god, what if I do this? What if I do this? What if I... Okay. I think I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like the ending. The ending was like weirdly abrupt. I just needed it because I needed something easy and light to listen to while I was going through exam week. And it was like cute. I guess it had some commentary about class and stuff like that, but I don't know, it just wasn't really for me. I think I gave it 2 stars. I don't know. No tea though. The next book that I read was Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. I gave it 5 stars. Loved it. One of my favorite books. One of my favorite series. Yes. I believe that I have enough footage, but I'm going to have a vlog coming out where I reread the entire Hunger Games series as well as The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So keep an eye out for that. I'll go into more detail about my feelings about this book. In addition, I also of course read Mockingjay. I gave Mockingjay 4 stars. I didn't like it as much as the other 2 books, but still one of my favorites. And then of course I read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which also got 4 stars. And I will have some kind of in-depth review coming out about this, whether it's in the vlog or in a separate video format. Okay, in addition, I also read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I gave this book 5 stars? 5 stars. Yes, I gave this book. Okay, I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. One of my new favorite historical fictions. I sobbed a lot while I was reading it, especially the ending. The ending really got me. I know that a lot of people have already read this, but if you haven't, please read it. It's so good. It is so good. I loved it so much. I know that I talked about this book a couple months ago. I don't remember what video I talked about it in, and I said that it was like really hard for me to get into, and it still was. I will admit, like, the beginning of the book was very like slow for me and hard for me to get into. I ended up getting the audiobook and listening along as I read, and that helped me speed right through it. So 5 stars. Okay, next I finally finished. This was like my month for like finishing books that I started and never finished. So I finished the I finished The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, which was another book that I started. I believe I started it in the beginning of April as a buddy read. I just could not get into it for the life of me. Like, I could not get into this book. I don't even know. I got the audiobook, and even that didn't help. I would like listen to it as I was going to sleep to just try to get through it. And then the audiobook expired, and I was like, I cannot read this without the audiobook. So I waited until it came back because I was just borrowing it from the library. And then all of a sudden, it was like the best book I've ever read, and like I was like speeding through it. I finished the end of it in like a couple hours, and like I loved it. I really loved it. I was like, I don't know why the beginning part was like really difficult for me, but it was. So I ordered Our Dark Duet, and that's coming in soon, and I will finish. But I ended up giving it 3 stars, I think, because the beginning was like weirdly difficult for me to get into it, and it's not like this was like, I don't know, it was a very interesting concept. I don't know, but it didn't like, it was just a book. But also it was really good. Maybe I should give it 4 stars. I don't know. I'm sticking with 3 stars for right now. I think maybe I gave it 3.5. I'm not sure. But it was good. Recommend it. Yeah, that's all I have to say, I feel like. And then the last book I read this month was, of course, The Book Thief. Obviously 5 stars, which is weird because going into it, I actually did not think that I was going to give it 5 stars. For the first, like, 75% of it, I actually thought it was like pretty slow. I was gonna give it 4 stars. I was enjoying it, but it wasn't like one of those things where I was like really wanted to keep going, like I couldn't put it down. That wasn't like my experience with it. I really enjoyed the writing style of it the entire time. Like, that was something that was very consistent, that constantly pushed it up. No matter how like slow I felt it was, I was like, this writing style is too good for me to give it anything less than a 4 star. But when I got to the end, I don't even know. I cried so hard. I cried harder than when I read The Nightingale. Something about the end of this book was just phenomenal. It was like past phenomenal. It was, oh my gosh, if you haven't read this book, you have to. Like, I cried for a straight like 20 minutes after finishing this. Like, from like the last like 20 pages to the end to like 15 minutes after, I was just like sobbing, and I was like, I don't think I know how to. There's an ant on my wall. There's a very large ant on my wall. Why is there an ant on my wall? Okay. Take care of that in a second. If you read this book, you have to. 5 out of 5. 10 stars. 2 thumbs up. 10 out of 10 on Yelp. I don't know how else to review this book and tell you to read it. I did tab it and stuff, so I can go back and look it over and reminisce about the beauty that was this book. I really want to reread it, honestly. I think that's just like called for. Like, after you read this book, I feel like you just kind of need to reread it to like, I don't know, you just gotta. for me. I just feel like I have to at some point reread this book soon. I feel like there was something else I was gonna say. Oh. One thing I noticed about the ending of this book was I felt like weirdly changed. Like, you know how like a book, like a life-changing book, you know how like those exist? I don't think I've ever been like as shifted by a book. I know that like some books that have like changed my life in the past, like Jane Eyre, I feel like changed my life. I feel like The Catcher in the Rye, when I first read it, changed my life. My opinion on the book has changed since, but this is one of those books that I can feel like in the future this will come up again and this will have changed my life. Like, something about this, I just knew that it has irrevocably changed my life in ways that I am still not yet aware of. But I was very moved by this book. It is a very powerful book. Sorry, I keep looking for that ant. But yes, that is all I have to say about The Book Thief, and those are the 8 books I read this month. I'm really excited for next month. Some really good books picked out, and yeah, I will have my June TBR out this Saturday, starting Saturday uploads. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.